and understanding those before you dive into a multi-million dollar partnership, prime or subcontract deal with a future partner. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or not. I was all over the place.
No, that's great.
Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Yall Working. I'm your co-host, Michael Ogunsanya.
I'm Alairé.
And we have Jeff Bullock here with us. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up, people?
So in this segment, we want to talk a little bit about, what it looks like behind the scenes, being an entrepreneur. Like they say, people quit their 9-to-5 to work 24/7. So how did you and how do you, Jeff, balance having a 9-to-5 with family and other obligations?
Let me start with when we started the company. So the way in which we started the company, I was a government civilian, and so we need to be very careful. I needed to be very careful about what I could and couldn't do while I was still a government employee, right? I had contractors that supported me. I was an IPT lead, and so what I did was I got an ethics opinion and made sure I was able to do what I could do, and I knew what I couldn't do. I don't like to live in the gray, so that helped set what I could do and couldn't do. Leading up to starting, what things I could do was start to just brainstorm things like, the website, the company name, our benefits, and things like that. I couldn't go out and start talking with candidates. I couldn't start talking with potential business partners, and so it was pretty tame right up until my last day as a Navy civilian, which would have been April 2015, like 18th or something. When we started, there was no metric, no measure for success. I had all these meetings. There's emails that I ready to send out that I hit send on. I went to Panera Bread in Arundel Mills 3 or 4 times a day to meet with candidates or potential partners and just have coffee and start working down the bank account, just hoping something sticks. I'd meet a mentor. They'd introduce me to 4 more. They'd introduce me to 10. I was going to AFCEA luncheons and honestly, I didn't even know if anything I was doing was working. And that's what I tell a lot of other entrepreneurs that have started thereafter. It's like every connection you're making is going to lead to something. It just might not be today. And it might not be all of them, but I can still point back to coffees I've had at Panera that have led to teaming agreements, that have led to subcontracts, that have led to placements, that have led to new contracts. Everything is working towards something. So when I remember coming home that first night, it was a Monday, and I think I asked Katie, I said, when does the money start coming in? Or when do we crack a beer? And she goes, when the money starts coming in. And so you work because you got to eat, right? We were living off of some PTO that I had saved that was burning up. We were living off of her part-time salary working for a firm out in Chicago, and it was a lot of pasta and tuna fish and cheap wine. But we made it. Things are a little different now. Then as we progressed and we were working hard, when there's not a live proposal and when there's not an active crunch in recruiting, like the example I gave in the first episode, you're going to work your 8 hours a day on contract, and you're going to work another 3 or 4 that evening. And if you want to have an event one night that evening and then work on the weekend, you're going to have to do that. That's what you do. It was a lifestyle choice you decide to make, right? I admittedly, from the time I started Clearridge until today, October 2024, probably put on about 35 pounds. But I know I'm going to work it off, and I know I had to do that to put in the time. I tell everybody if there was 25 hours in a day, there's so much more I could accomplish and my health would be so much better. But it was the sacrifice that we made. When it's proposal time, man, it's insane. You go to survival mode. It's coffees to stay awake, something to make you fall asleep. It's working on the weekends, even when the kids have events. There's sacrifices there. I remember the first year of the company starting, we had a proposal we supported with a large firm and worked the whole weekend. Got home that evening and sat in the chair and the TV was off for like 15 minutes. And my wife and I weren't even talking to each other. We were just enjoying the silence. And it was the most peaceful thing in the world because didn't have to think. And so I think when you're in that mode, you just, it takes over when you're in that survival mode. If you've been in that, and then when you come out of it and you look back and you come up there, it's like, holy crap, how did I do that? And now I'm like, I'm typically the guy that needs 8 hours of sleep or I can't function. Not the same anymore, right? Whenever there's a proposal or something like that, it motivates you and drives you to your core so that you can pull through until you hit submit, and then you can sleep in on that next Saturday.
I love that. Michael, go ahead.
No, go for it, Alairé.
So I know that you mentioned part of what makes a business great is that you have great partnerships, whether it be your spouse, whether it be the business partner that you have. Could you tell us a little bit about the learning lessons from the partnerships or other things that happened within the business, whether it be during, the proposal time to even just meeting new people that would allow you to open up the new doors, whether it be to people or contracts? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with the business partner. I mean, that's a marriage. When Chris and I first started talking with each other, I mean, we had known each other for years prior, so it was an easy match. We kind of knew what we were in this for and what we wanted to do. We understood the business model, and it was recommended to us that we hired an attorney to get an operating agreement and all that in place. And I'm glad we did. Chris is a great partner to me. We get along very well, but it's a good way to make sure and go through the process of making sure you're on the same page with how you want to conduct business, right? We still look at that, to this day. So that's fantastic. In terms of other partners, and like say, if we're a subcontractor to a large prime contractor, or if we're the prime and we have subcontractor partner team members, those partnerships are critical. As a prime with subcontractors, those are critical because you need them to be successful, and you need them to feel that they're just as part of the team as you are at the prime. And I didn't get that like I do now until we had our first prime contract. As a subcontractor to a large prime, I mean, those partnerships are sometimes more important than our relationship with the government. You need to be the best sub. You need them to know you're there to do whatever they need, that you can find the talent that is the hard ones that they can't find. And we've been burned. We've been burned by some partners, and it hurts. Like, I hate non-disclosure agreements. I hate teaming agreements. I hate subcontracts. I hate contracts, period. But I know why they're there now. You really gotta, if your gut's telling you something's not feeling right, think twice about it, because we've been burned, and unfortunately it's forced us to take a closer look at all future relationships, even for those that we trust and have known for a long time. It's kind of forced us to go through the process of contract redlining and understanding those before you dive into a multi-million-dollar partnership, prime or subcontract deal with a future partner. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or not. I was all over the place.
No, that's great. I think that it definitely does, because it again comes from your perspective, from your environment, in terms of what you're looking out for, right? Whether it be with the person that you're working with on a day-to-day that's growing the business with you. Again, having that crucial legal agreement, operating agreement, article of organization, making sure that that's done and buttoned up, so you have your roles defined, so that way nobody has any discrepancies, and if you do, you have a solution for that, right? You go to somebody and you figure it out. So yeah, Michael, do you have any?
Yeah, just one point. So thinking of, like you said, Jeff, sometimes it's like a gut decision. You might be 2 weeks, you might be 2 months, you might be 2 years into a business relationship, and that you get that gut feeling that this might be the time to end it. For entrepreneurs out there, and I'd love for you to share this insight, what's that gut feeling that makes you feel like you need to hire that person, where sometimes you kind of put your heart over your head in different circumstances?
For that, because it's part of me is like, when it comes to business, you can't be emotional about it, right? And I think that's the case 90% of the time. There's other times where the conversation is, you can feel some of the responses is not how you would have responded to the question. Not that you want to test people and what you're asking, right? But someone, in the example of an employee, someone told me, what they say, hire slowly, fire fast. We started Clear as we started because I started because when I was a Navy civilian, I couldn't hire and fire my own employees. I wouldn't even be able to vet my own team members. I put in a demand signal, and 9 months later, there'd be a new person showing up that the command hired on my behalf, which is fine. I understand the process, but sometimes it wasn't the right person. And I wanted the ability to choose my team, to vet my team. And everyone knew that when they brought on Clear's Defense, that I personally vetted that person, that they were going to get someone that met our level of quality. So that part's important to me. But how you can tell, I guess it just comes from years of working with people. As you grow up, all the interactions you've had, high school, college, career, you hopefully have learned some of those little things that are cues that someone is maybe thinking about things a little differently than you. And that's the 10% where if there is a gut decision, you want to slow roll it.
100%. Yeah, and I've definitely had that experience, like hiring too fast. Some of the bias might be, this person, this was me 10 years ago. This is me in a different world. You never want to project, your identity or project what you might have heard on the radio into the conversation, because you got to be objective when selecting talent. So I agree. Alairé, you want to jump in?
But is there anything in terms of the GovCon community that we should be aware of moving forward? Something that you've noticed? I know you mentioned Ukraine, Russia, the Indo-China region, Pacific. So what should we be aware of that's kind of coming up in the environment that you're kind of working in? Are you working on something that we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, keeping things unclassified. I mean, world events is driving a lot of things. The timing of things. Look at Russia, Ukraine. Look at the Indo-PACOM region. Obviously, we're forming a lot of strategic partnerships with, the U.S. government is forming a lot of strategic partnerships with our allies, and they're more critical now than anything as we go into a potential conflict several years from now, if that is to happen. AI is going to drive a lot. I know you probably teed me up for that, but let me just compare it to like government contracts, right? We're going after a contract right now, a large government-wide acquisition contract, but it's there was a question in the proposal that said, did you use AI or ChatGPT or anything similar in the production of this proposal? And it doesn't say anywhere. What's great about government proposals is they tell you exactly how they're going to evaluate you. They give you the evaluation criteria, but they don't tell you what the answer to that question entails. Like, are you going to score me badly for that? Or is this just a metric you're collecting for some future thing, right? So it's changing even the way we do proposals. Be lying if I said I didn't have an interview I was conducting today where I wanted to know some good questions to ask a certain candidate, and it helped kind of drive where that went, right? There's shade there. AI is definitely going to drive things. Timing of other world conflicts is going to drive things. I think that's what we're seeing the most at the cyber command level, still combatant command, but not to the scale of the full-blown war. We're seeing this thing called enhanced budget control. So previously, all of the services, so think Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, et cetera, they provide forces to the combatant commands. And so historically, cybersecurity has been managed and funded by all of the services separately. So a few years ago, General Nakasone of U.S. Cybercom and the National Security Agency, he went to Congress and said, you're asking me to do all these things, but I can't really affect everything I need to do in cyber unless I control the dollars for cybersecurity. And right now, the services own it. Congress said, okay, it's yours. You have enhanced budget control starting in, I think it was FY24, so last October. And they said, all of the services money that touches cybersecurity or cyberspace operations, you have control of. You get first right of refusal. You can still give that money back to the services to execute the contracts that they had or the programs of record, the systems that they have been running for years, but you're going to have first right of refusal. So what we're starting to see over the next 3 to 5 years is U.S. Cybercom is going to start making some cost-effective bulk decisions, right? If each service is paying for some flyaway kit to do cyber stuff, and they made their own brand, right? They're going to say, stop. We're going to build the best of breed, and we're going to have one contract. And at the end of the day, it's going to save the taxpayer money. It's going to be great for the warfighter, but it's going to challenge for government contractors like us to shift and continue doing the work that we've been doing or risk losing it. So that's something we're watching out for.
Nice.
That's really cool. Okay. Well, that's a great place to wrap the second segment on Balancing Family and Building Business with Jeff Bullock. I'm your host, Alairé Jameson.
I'm Michael Ogunsanya.
We have Jeff here with us from Clear Ridge Defense. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us today, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.